Hi, good evening and welcome back to Undiluted Teachings with me, Vyasige Lucky. We're still dealing on the life of Abraham from birth till death. And in our last episode 7, we left off where Sodom, Gomorrah, and the sisters' cities were destroyed as a result of the atrocity, the numerous atrocities they committed. We did mention but a few because we didn't want to digress. We want to stay on course of our teaching, which is the life of Abraham. But we did mention just a little of what they did. You can go to the Bible and read more. And it's worth mentioning that if Sodom and the sister cities could be destroyed as a result of their sins and the atrocity they committed, then those arguing that this world will not end should think again. Because Sodom and Gomorrah and the sister cities did not do 1/10 of what we have done on earth. Okay? The atrocities that has been committed, that is being committed, that will be committed on earth today is 10 times what Sodom, Gomorrah, and the other cities committed that they were destroyed from. So, don't think that earth will not end. For God's sake, even the things that will end earth are already here. We'll get to that in the course of our discussion. Now, after the destruction, we knew that Lot and the daughters went to a cave where the girls got their father drunk and made love to him in tongues, and they both had children, male children. The first was called Moab, who became the father of the Moabites, and the younger one was called Ben-Ami, who later became the father of Ammon. These names sound familiar. We'll get to them when we are dealing with Moses, because the children of Israel and the children of Moab, of course, we'll know what happened to them. We'll get there later. Then after this time, Lot and the two daughters and the two sons born to him by his daughters left the cave and they settled on the other side of the river Jordan. That explains how the Moabites got to be in that area. Because Lot and his children now went there to settle on the other side of the Jordan, and God blessed the children. They multiplied exceedingly, and they covered the territory and multiplied. And then after this time also, Abraham left where he was in the plain of Mamre in Canaan and went to the land of the Philistines, and they dwelt in a city called Gerar. Now, one would have thought what happened in Egypt would have taught this man Abraham a lesson that, look, you should have been scared of one taking your wife Sarah from you. Now, the same thing repeated itself in Gerar when Abraham and his entire household, he relocated totally from the land of Canaan to the land of the Philistines and settled in Gerar. Again, just like in Egypt, he told his wife Sarah and his servants to proclaim that Sarah is his sister, so as to save his life, he thought. And then after a few days of they living in Gerar. The servants of the king, the then king Abimelech. Abimelech was a descendant of Ham, remember, while Abraham a descendant of Shem, and Abimelech a descendant of Ham, both sons of Noah. Abimelech's servants saw Sarah, and they reported to Abimelech that a man came to settle in the land. They were staying in the city called Gerar, and that the wife is very beautiful. So when Abimelech heard these words, he sent that Sarah be brought to him. Now, remember, this is an old woman. You know, I can't imagine the beauty of this woman called Sarah. If at this age, about 90 years old, a king or even his servant could still behold that she's so beautiful and recommend that she be married by the king. She must have been so beautiful. So the king sent for her to be brought. She came before the king, and like in Egypt, the king asked, I heard you came to this land with a man. Who is the man with you? She said, he is my brother. We came from the land of Canaan to dwell in a place where we can have enough land for our belongings and our animals. And the king Abimelech said, behold, the entire land is with you. I like you and I want to take you as my wife. Abimelech sent for Abraham, asked him in Sarah's presence, who is this woman to you? And Abraham said, she's my sister. And Abimelech said, if that is the case, we'll give you whatever you want in this land. Choose, the entire kingdom is before you. Choose wherever you want to and stay. So, just like in Egypt. And we read that night, the king Abimelech was sitting on his throne and he fell asleep. Now, he has taken Sarah as his wife, giving Abraham again her bride price. Abraham was taking bride price for his wife from a second man, a second king. And so, the Lord prevented the king Abimelech to be on the same bed rather, with Sarah. So he fell asleep on the throne and spent the entire night there. Now, that night he dreamed that an angel of God stood before him in the dream with a drawn sword and threatening to kill him. And so Abimelech asked, for what offense do you want to kill me? What have I done? And the angel said, it is for the sake of the woman that you have taken that I've come to kill you. So, in the morning and in that night, the entire kingdom was in disarray. The wombs of pregnant women who were due to give birth, were all blocked. People were stricken with sickness. There was nightmares. There was terror in the entire land. And so, when this king woke up in the morning, he called for all his servants and soothsayers and narrated his dream to them. So one of the servants there happened to know what happened in Egypt. And so he told the king, narrated everything that happened in Egypt concerning this Haman and his wife. And the king also is. I told the king, the only thing you would do to save this land from this calamity is to restore this man's wife to him. She is his wife, not his sister. The same thing happened exactly the same way in Egypt. And so the king Abimelech sent for Abraham and queried him very seriously. Why would you do a thing like this? I called both of you, asked both of you. And you told me she's only but a sister. And now look at the calamity you've brought upon this land. And so gave Abraham back his wife and a lot of gift as usual. Abraham will lie, deceive other people, and be gifted for it. He's surely a blessed man, isn't he? He's the one that will lie. Other people will be punished for it. So that's why men of God, when they are saying, tells you, look, touch not the anointing and do the prophets no harm. And so they goes, whatever any man of God do, you do not have the right to question or say anything. Okay? Yeah, we can see it here. So be careful how you talk to men of God. And yeah, sure, that includes me. I'm a preacher and a man of God. Alright, that was a joke now. Now, Abraham's wife was restored to him with lots of gifts. Animals, silver, gold, servants, male and female servants. And unlike what happened in Egypt, that the king sent them away from his land immediately, Abimelech, on the other hand, said, look, my kingdom is before you. Like I said before, my words remain. You can stay in the land as long as you want and wherever you want in the land. So Abraham remained in Gerar, in the land of the Philistines, for so many years. So, and now it was in Gerar, in the land of the Philistines, in that same year that he got there, that Isaac was born to Abraham and Sarah at the age of 100 years and 90. So it was a 90 years old woman that the king wanted to marry. Of course, Abimelech was older then. Now, when Isaac was born, Abraham made a great feast. Like the Lord commanded earlier, that any male child born to his house should be circumcised on the third day. So Abraham did that exactly as God has commanded. Isaac on the 8th day was circumcised. And then, when this child, Isaac, was the day he was weaned. Now, to win a child in this context means when a child or a mammal, as the case may be, starts eating adult's food, like normal food, when it stops depending on the mother's breast and starts eating normal food like other like adults, it's called weaning. Okay, that's the process, weaning. So the day the child stops breastfeeding and starts eating normal food is the day is weaned. These days we do not make a feast of it. We really do not take cognizance of it these days. But then it was a great event then. Okay, the people of the old make a great show of it when a child is weaned. So on the day that Isaac was weaned, Abraham made a very, very great feast. Elaborate feast at that. Shem and his son Eber, the king Abimelech, and all the great men of the land gathered and attended that great ceremony. Terah, Abraham's father, Nahor, his elder brother, with their household and everything belonging to them. These men didn't travel light. Coming from Aram to the land of the Philistines to celebrate with Abraham, they came with everything. Okay? And it was a very great feast. A lot of animals killed, they ate and drank and celebrated all through the weaning period of Isaac. Okay, and Abraham and Nahor stayed with, Terah, Abraham's father, and Nahor, his elder brother, and their entire household and their properties stayed with Abraham in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Okay, for a very long time with him there. And so Ishmael also, the son of Abraham, grew up and he was very good with bow and arrow. And God favored him as Abraham has requested. He prayed for his son that he be favored. When God was talking to him about Isaac, how he will bless his son and give him the land, and how the entire earth will be populated by his seed, Abraham also asked that his son Ishmael also be blessed, and God agreed that yes, he will also bless Ishmael. Now an event happened one day while Ishmael and Isaac were seated in the front of one of the tents in Abraham's camp. Abraham was a city. Okay, he has a lot, and wherever he pitched his tent is a city on its own. So they were seated opposite each other, and Isaac was just 5 years old. Now Ishmael took his bow and arrow and aimed it at the young boy. Shot, but by God, he missed. Now Ishmael was good with his tool, the bow and arrow. He hunts with it. He does everything with it. So, and at such a close range, he couldn't have missed. But that was the will of God, that Isaac should not by his hand be slain. So he missed. And Sarah, Isaac's mother, got a glimpse of this. She was watching the whole incident. So immediately after that, he sent for Abraham. So that was exactly what led to Sarah asking Abraham to tell Agar and his son Ishmael to leave, to send them away from his son Isaac, from her son rather Isaac, because he knew sometime in the future he might be able to slay his son. Okay, the basic Bible put it that Ishmael mocked them during the winning, but he actually made an attempt at the young boy's life. And Sarah narrated everything to Abraham and said Abraham should send them away. Okay, Abraham didn't want to because he loved his son Ishmael as well. That was his first son. But the Lord intervened and told Abraham, okay, you obey your wife on this. Send the young man and his mother away. I'll be with them. So that was how Agar and her son Ishmael were sent away from Abraham's camp, and they went to a desert place to live. Okay, and they stayed there for a long time before they left for Egypt. Remember, Agar was from Egypt. Okay, she was actually the king's daughter, born to him by one of his concubines. Okay, so there was royal blood in Ishmael, both maternal and paternal side, because Abraham himself was a king in his rank. Okay, so Abraham made provisions for Ishmael and Agar and sent them away to the wilderness where they lived before afterward went to the land of Egypt, where he grew up and took a wife. Okay, he married there in Egypt to a lady named Meribah. Okay, and then after who bore him children there, bore him children there in Egypt. Then afterward, Ishmael, having been blessed, also decided to leave Egypt again with his wife, his children, and his mother, and went back to the wilderness. Ishmael was a constant moving city. He didn't dwell particularly in a place. He pitched his tent in a place where he can feed his animals, stay there for a while, sometimes months, sometimes years, and move camp again to another place. So he was constantly on the move. Okay, and after a long time departing away from Abraham, his father, one day, after a very, very long time, the father, Abraham, decided to go in search of his son, Ishmael. So, he traced him. Of course, he heard of where he was. So, he went to his camp. On getting there, he met the woman, the wife, Meribah, beating the children. She was not a good manner wife. So Abraham, still on the donkey he came on, inquired of his son Ishmael, and the woman said he's not around. He has gone to the fields to feed the animals and hunt. So Abraham asked of this woman water. Please, could you give me some water? I came from a very far distance from the land of the Philistines. And the woman said, there's no water, not even bread. So the woman was very hostile and treated Abraham very roughly, without respect. Then Abraham left her a message for his son. And he left her with these exact words. Because the woman was hostile, beating the children, disrespected Abraham so much. And Abraham said, okay, young lady, when your husband Ishmael come, tell him a very old man came from a long distance, from a far land, the land of the Philistines, to seek you, to ask after you. And tell him this is his appearance, this is how he looks, and tell him that you didn't give him water or even ask him to come down from his camel. Now, leave this message with him. Tell him that the nail on his tent is not a good one. That he should put away the nail of the tent and replace it with another nail. And the woman said, okay. So actually, when Ishmael came back, she actually told him what the old man repeated. She repeated everything to the husband, and immediately Ishmael knew that was his father Abraham who came asking after him, and that his wife had treated him very bad. So the young man actually hearkened to the voice of his father. Now divorced, put Meribah away, and took another wife, who also bore him other children. Now, again, later in the future, Abraham repeated this same trip. So, why I'm bringing this in is for you to know that after Abraham drove Ishmael and his mother away on account of Sarah and Isaac, he didn't abandon them completely. Okay? Twice, it was recorded, twice Abraham went in search of his son Ishmael. Okay? And this time he met the other woman who now attended to him well, and he left the message that, look, the nail on your tent this time is a good one, don't put this one away. Okay, so Ishmael knew the woman with him now treated his father well, and that the father approved of this. Now after this, years later, Ishmael himself now visited his father with his entire household. Okay, took his wife, his children, his cattle, everything belonging to him, and went to the land of the Philistines to visit his father Abraham. Okay, where Abraham related everything that happened, and how his wives treated him when he came visiting. Okay, so they stayed with him. Now, this was the time that the servants of Abimelech and the servants of Abraham quarreled over the well they dug. Okay, it was recorded in the Bible how they quarreled over the well, and then Abimelech, not knowing what happened, when he heard, came to Abraham, okay, and make peace, and they made a treaty. Okay, they made a covenant rather, okay, concerning the place. Abimelech begged with Abraham to forgive them because he didn't send his servant to do that. Okay, now they made a covenant there. Abraham planted a grove there, a vineyard there rather, and called the place Beersheba. Okay, which was outskirts of the land of the Philistines before Hebron, the land of the Canaan. Okay, so they made a treaty there, and Abimelech left Abraham there, went back home with the chief of his hosts, okay, and left Abraham to occupy there. So Abraham continued living there. Now, in the Bible make us to understand that, put it in a way that when the word of God came to Abraham, that Isaac, his son Isaac, should be sacrificed to him as a burnt offering. we kind of have this perception that Isaac was a young child. He wasn't. I'll give you the full details of how this event came to be and how old was Isaac.